Hey everyone, welcome to Bickering Book Reviews. I'm Sarah,
And I'm Becky.
and today we're talking about A Complicated Love Story Set in Space by Shaun David Hutchinson. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. Hutchinson. I always like blah, 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 so I never remember like where the vowels fall.
Yes.
So it's Shaun David Hutchinson. Okay, so this story is about Noah, who wakes up in a spacesuit, and he has no idea how he got there. He has no idea where in the world he is, but he's floating outside of a spaceship. And basically, he has to kind of start figuring out how to get into the ship and figure out like what in the world's going on. Then he hears a voice coming from the ship. It's DJ, some kid he's never known, and actually they were both potentially abducted from different parts of the country, never met before, no connection that they can think of. And DJ is kind of helping Noah get into the spaceship before he runs out of oxygen. Things get a little bit complicated at that point. Basically, beyond the complication, you flash forward, and DJ and Noah are in the spaceship, and they come to find that there's somebody else there who's from a different part of the country that they have no connection to, Jenny. And they are on a spaceship that's it's really clunky. It's like the clunker of spaceships, and they're trying to figure out how to get back home, back to Earth. But every time they try to get closer to Earth, something new goes wrong. For example, one of the parts fails. It doesn't fail, but it like messes up, and essentially they switch locations every 19 hours because they have no idea like where they are, so they're just going to continue to pop through the universe. And it's just kind of figuring out this puzzle of how do they get where they are, how do they get out of where they are, and how do they get home. And it gets just more and more complicated as the book goes on. And Noah has some serious baggage from before he came on the spaceship, but he's attracted to DJ. The only thing is this baggage is making it very difficult for him to allow himself to be open to a new budding relationship. And I think that's really kind of all you need to know.
And I'm trying to figure out, how are we going to talk about this without giving stuff away?
Because there's a big spoiler that like the twist is important, and if we talk about it, it gives away everything.
Right.
All I have to say is reading this book at times felt like a chore. Like when it was time for me to go read it, I was like, I would literally do anything else. But having finished it, I think I would enjoy it more a second time through. I think this is one of the books that you have to read multiple times.
So it wasn't a chore for me. I like the way he writes. I didn't enjoy this one as much as other ones, but I have always, other than I think one I didn't like, I've always enjoyed his books. But as I was reading this, I was like, it feels like a bunch of short stories sewn together. And then when you get to the big like ending thing, you're like, well, there's a reason why it feels like that. So that was what was bugging me. But when you get to the end, there's why. And in retrospect, if you read the description and you look at the cover and you really pay attention, the big twist is obvious. I didn't see it coming. I mean, but at once knowing what it is, there's so many little things that it was hidden. You know, it's like Inception.
I think that perhaps for it to work successfully the first time through, there needed to be, but I want to say better framework, but I don't think that that's true. The characters were well developed. The plot was really well thought out. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Right, that's the problem. Because like there are all these things that happen, and like watching it, like reading it, I'm like it was like they were disjointed and like I said, like a bunch of short stories, and then I'm like, oh wait. That was my only issue with the book, because yeah, the characters are well developed, the plot is well developed, and honestly, when you get to the end and everything's explained, all of the other things that are tied to the end are really well developed. it was just slightly frustrating getting there because I kept thinking it's not particularly well developed because of the way it's written, but it's written that way on purpose, which makes it well written.
Yeah, this is just one of those books you're going to have to read more than once. And I think I'm open to reading it a second time.
Well, I was actually, there's no audiobook that I can see. If there was an audiobook, I think listening to the audiobook, it would help.
I still think I would have had problems with it the first time through, no matter what, like full stop. I think this is a book that I will have to read multiple times.
And I like his writing enough that I'm willing to give him a second reading.
So,
but I honestly, like, I don't even know what to rate it. Like, I went on Goodreads to rate it, and I'm like, well, that ending, like, blew me away. And it was like The Usual Suspects, where you get to the end and you're like, oh my God, all the stuff that I missed, it's all right there. But getting to that ending was kind of like,
it was a chore for me.
Well, I wouldn't use the word chore, but I did have this thought about how it seemed to have like a flow issue, and like how it seemed disjointed, and then I'm like, there's a reason. So I don't know what to rate it. I don't know what to think.
Well, we're gonna rate it because our rating scale goes from 5 unicorns down to 2 unicorns. If we don't like it, it's not magical, doesn't get a horn, and is therefore a horse. So I can go first if you'd like.
You can go first.
I think I'm gonna give it a 3. Like, I think after reading it a second time, it'll probably bump up to a 4. But as of right now, the journey to get to the end of this book was a struggle. I think it was solidly well built, but for me, it was a struggle. So I'm giving it a 3.
See, I think I might be at a 4. I think. I don't know. I can't think and process anymore. Because, like I said, like my only because I like his characters. He writes strong characters.
See, and I don't like his characters. They're strong, but I don't like them.
See, and I think they're complex. I think they're well developed.
They are. They are.
I think they're human, and I appreciate that. I
just don't want to hang out with them.
No, I wouldn't necessarily want to hang out with them, but I think that they're very well crafted. But like I said, the plot threw me off, and I even thought, I'm like, he usually writes with better flow than this. And then I'm like, that's why. And I feel like that ending pulled it together in a way that, you're right. I think, because anybody who knows me, and Sarah does not agree with me, I think We Are the Ants is brilliant. I thought Brave Face was brilliant. And I think that if I go back and reread this, it's going to be brilliant. But I wasn't looking for all the things that made it brilliant, if that makes sense.
You didn't know what would make it brilliant.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, that's where we're at. We've rated it like, we don't know.
I'm confused. I legit, the part of my brain that watches Inception over and over again, trying to figure out if they're out of the dream or not, that's the part of my brain that's been thinking about this book all day. So I got nothing.
Okay.
So that is where we are on a complicated love story set in space.
So we'll see you
around. Bye.